I want to talk about Silent Hill 2 Remake, but I don't really know where to start. Silent Hill is just one of those franchises, as it's often mentioned under the same breath of survival horror or when it's hella foggy outside. Hell, whenever I'd walk to school while it's foggy, I'd be acting like I was in Silent Hill, despite not really knowing what the actual game is about. And in fairness, my first proper exposure to Silent Hill is the PT demo, which shall tragically rest in peace. But after doing some research, I decided to play the Silent Hill 2 remake, and my god, it's a haunting masterpiece. If you haven't played this or watched someone play it, you can kinda get the gist of what the story is about. Man enters the titular town, Silent Hill 2, in search of his wife because you got a letter from her asking you to come here and find her. But the real mystery begins when the town is mainly populated by fog, followed by creepy music, and on top of the fact that your wife has been dead for years, so how the fuck is she riding from the grave? You encounter some interesting tourists, beat up some residents, and sit through cutscenes with the most wooden writing, paired with the most driest line delivery, on top of dipping down to 40 frames per second. But in fairness, I was recording gameplay and streaming on Discord, so my PC was probably having an aneurysm.
In my recent streams, I see that cat. Skippity toilet. Text me there one day.
I'm trying to play this game.
You can't fucking do it.
The premise and atmosphere itself is engaging enough for me to continue playing it because, trust me, there's reasons to alt-tab out of this game and just start playing RE2 Remake with shirtless Leon. But I think what truly fascinated me the most were the themes of this story and how complex and dense it feels, as it's mostly portrayed through horrific imagery that entirely relies on the player's interpretation of what they're seeing. The whole Silent Hill gimmick is that it is a whole ghost town that is bleak and spooky during the day, but fucking terrifying at night. And the special thing that this game makes very clear is that the nightmarish setting, known as the Otherworld, is bespoke to every individual person who strolls here for its symbolism and setting. During the game, you encounter people who were just in the neighborhood: Eddie, Angela, and Laura. Eddie is an overweight man who was pretty much bullied to the point of becoming unstable and violent, as he slowly becomes an antagonist to then becoming a boss fight that you end up killing. But it's the fact that his environment is almost cold, especially in the boss fight. However, it's foreshadowed in the theater when he's chowing down on some Baskin-Robbins ice cream. But I think thematically it works as he himself grows cold to reality and pretty much becoming a psychopath.
It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead. And a corpse can't laugh.
But also could represent the fact that when we first meet him, he's hella defensive about the man in the freezer. But I think what makes his environment more interesting is when you factor in his counterpart tourist, Angela. Angela's technically the first person you encounter in the spooky place, as she's looking for her mother. But despite you initially startling her, she's kind enough to warn you that this town isn't what it seems. But it's the apartment scene where you kind of find out that she's deeply troubled as you walk in on her contemplating suicide. The reason behind it is initially vague, as she does come off a bit crazy. However, it's the abstract daddy boss fight where it's made crystal freaking clear of Angela's abuse and trauma from her family is why she's the way she is. But what makes her story just genuinely heartbreaking is how she blames herself with no other option in her life other than ending herself. And the last time you see her character is the Stairs of Fire scene, pretty much just getting a glimpse of what she sees, which is just pure hellfire. The pole opposite of Eddie's cold setting.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too? For me, it's always like this.
Laura, on the other hand, doesn't really see the creatures or monsters and is kind of a little shit.
What's a big dum-dum like you doing here anyway?
Hey,
Can I kill this kid?
that's not very nice.
Can I kill the
Parents
kid?
teach any
But
manners?
rightfully so, I guess, because her theme song is an absolute banger. So, but I think the characters represent some sort of compass of the path that James could wind up in if he doesn't face his personal demons with his guilt. But unfortunately, that job position was filled up by Pyramid Head with his big-ass Cloud Strife sword. Wait, there's two of them now? What the fuck? I mean, I gotta talk about the sad white guy protagonist. No, the other one. But spoiler alert, it is revealed later on that James killed his wife, which, not gonna lie, it was kind of spoiled for me before I even bought the game, but I guess finding out why became the reason of me wanting to play it, so silver lining, I guess. But his wife that you're searching for, Mary, whose appearance in this game is very scarce other than a photograph, but her presence is very much there with Maria, who kind of becomes your companion, but you then soon realize is a manifestation of James's idealized version of Mary, who...
Not much of a movie fan anyway.
Not much of a movie fan? I don't think this could work. But it's also made clear that James killed Mary as some sort of euthanasia to end her suffering from terminal illness, but it was also out of resentment too, due to a selfish desire to reclaim his own life. It's a complex concoction of grief and guilt that is constantly at battle, but it doesn't really matter which triumphs what, because the outcome is the same. Pure depression. But men will literally visit Silent Hill instead of going to therapy, but not gonna lie, I'm just here for the music. Alexa, play Betrayal. I don't have an Alexa. The soundtrack of Silent Hill 2 is honestly one of the two shoulders that truly carries this game, as some tracks are the spookiest shit I've ever heard, and some are the most comforting hot cocoa drinking music, and surprisingly, some are both.
Don't panic. Don't fucking panic, Bob. Keep your shit together. Don't get fucking paranoid, man.
And the fact that the composer of this soundtrack, Akira Yamaoka, was also the composer of the original, as well as the other Silent Hill games in general, whilst also producing them. On top of that, he did the soundtrack for Return to Silent Hill, which in itself is a film adaptation of Silent Hill 2. He basically did the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack 3 times. Bro's one-hit wonder is a whole album, even if I do think that one track from Silent Hill 3 is peak. But hell, I'm listening to the soundtrack whilst writing this, and I don't know, I got feelings apparently. Despite how amazing this game is in its narrative, themes, attention to detail, and soundtrack, it does have flaws, primarily in its gameplay.
Oh, you got the flashlight. Oh, cool.
Oh, fuck! The combat felt clunky, but also grew stale, as there isn't much of a system, which makes sense when you factor in the fact that James is just an ordinary dude with no experience in combat other than pillow fights with his wife. So if this game played like Resident Evil or something, it would definitely lead to a fairly awkward ludonarrative dissonance. The boss fights are just meh, as you're mainly just unknowingly pumping bullets or battering your pipe into the boss until it sort of just ends, with the only notable boss fight for me being the Abstract Daddy, as it was engaging in the sense of you were learning about a character on top of the fact that it's kind of like a chase that turns into just a simple boss fight. The enemy encounters are mainly just obstacle to remind you that this is a survival horror game of the diarrhea in pants variety.
Did you just bomb and weave him?
Yeah, attack. Yeah.
Waffle, stop that shit.
Alright.
Keep going. Keep going. Another one. Another one. Another one. 1A. You can either curb stomp them or shoot them, but it gets to a point where I just couldn't be fucked to fight and just want to power through the puzzles, which is another bag of nuts.
Run around slowly.
So far.
Cock chair.
Hey, 6-7.
Oh, stop.
The puzzles in this game was kind of repetitive, as you spend the majority of the game circling around the level, bumping into locked doors like an idiot, trying to make sense of what you're seeing and doing, and also trying to understand where the hell you're at and how it fits into all of this. But then I couldn't be really mad, as solving these puzzles made me feel like a big brain gamer dude, as it's just satisfying to just solve.
This is a snake. Unless...
Fucking, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Oh,
You-
fucking brilliant.
You can rotate it?
How long have you been here for?
I can confidently say I spent half an hour just running around in circles.
But also on top of the fact that the puzzles add to the world building of Silent Hill and your character's psyche. I don't know, I'm just glad these morbid puzzles are actually tied to the theme, as opposed to just being some avant-garde trial and error bullshit. As this game does give you clues, relying on you to use logic, but also gotta say thanks to Bro for deep-throating his mic to tell me what the fuck I'm missing.
Sorry, that's the hand you're looking for.
What?
Dead center, that's the hand you were looking for the clock, unless you've already figured that one out.
Oh shit, I didn't even notice.
Bro, listen, I gotta get this fucking game, dude. I'm figuring
But my mixed feeling on the game is what kind of steers me away from probably replaying this again, on top of the fact that the level design makes me low-key uncomfortable, which may not sound like it, is a compliment, as this game isn't a simple A to B experience that holds your hands, as even in the save areas, you are still prone to getting attacked. But I would revisit this game merely for just the curveball that is the multiple endings. This game gives you more or less an open conclusion for you to decide which ending feels right to you. Although I got the leave ending, which is considered to be the good ending, mainly because it ends on a more satisfying and hopeful note. But I think the water or stillness ending is the one that just makes sense to me personally, based on my understanding of the character of James. And the thing that I like is that there's no canon ending, as these endings open an interpretation that's more or less designed for players to sit down and kind of think about the game and kind of just decide which one makes sense for them. Speaking of thinking, this game got me thinking about movies, primarily The Shining, Vanilla Sky, and Shutter Island, as this game messes with you, puts you through a confusing nightmare, as well as a depressing plot twist. But to be honest, I'm clutching at straws because two of them came out after Silent Hill 2, so I don't even know anymore. I think ultimately at its core, Silent Hill 2 is not only a spook fest to make gamers consider buying diapers, but it's also a psychological tale that encourages people to look within and better understand ourselves. Although there may be external forces that may beat us down, but absolute destruction truly happens from within. And that's what I truly think Silent Hill 2 is saying, not only through the main character, but through the different characters that we interact with. Whether you played it or watched it, Silent Hill 2 leaves a haunting aftertaste, making you question the darkest and deepest corner of your mind. Silent Hill 2 may be a clunky mess to play through, but that's more or less shadowed by its emotional and thematically complex horror story. 4.5 red squares out of 5. This game will probably forever be etched into my brain, as it's genuinely haunting, because after playing this, it was the only thing I was really thinking about in the sense of just the emotional journey. And I can't really articulate the impact, but there was definitely something that this game had over me. And it's a shame that games like this just feel very once in a blue moon, at least with me. But also Silent Hill 2 is also a reminder that video games can also be a very thought-provoking art form, much alike books or movies. Thanks for hearing me out. Have a good night, and I'll see y'all past the fog. Not gonna lie, I feel like if I went to Silent Hill, I think the monsters I would mainly see is either Alan Romulus, the farm fuckers from Spy Kids, and maybe Angelina Jolie. Wonder if they have cheesy chips in Silent Hill.
Why do they call it oven when you in the cold food of out hot eat the food? Yes,